Evening, everybody. It's about 3 minutes to the hour, so we're gonna get started in about 3 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm a moment late getting back. Welcome to our February Monday night call. We've got another February call later on Thursday night. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but Lynn will put it in the chat. At least I hope she will. And sorry, I just saw a message from somebody. I gotta have a quick look here. Yeah, hold on one second. There you go, Bruce. I got you looked after. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there's the 24th of February. Thanks, Lynn. So that would be the Thursday call. And then we've got one scheduled for March because of the NABC. Someone just told me today that it's the week of the online regional, the Thursday that it starts. So we may need to reconsider that. So stay tuned. There may be a shift in dates for March, but this month, obviously we're not changing tonight's date. And the 24th will definitely happen as well. So February 24th is our next call. I'm not at home tonight and I'm not at the office. I'm on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina at the Hilton Head Regional, which interestingly enough, this was the last tournament that I got to go to 2 years ago before the pandemic hit. So I'm in my hotel room here at the Hilton Head, and today it just started today, and turnout seems really good, and it's always been a really highly highly touted tournament. So it's nice to see there's a pretty good crowd here. So that's where I am this week, and I'm going to talk a little bit later about. Someone says you can't hear me. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, good. So I'm sorry, whoever put that message there, it must be on your end. Yeah, so yeah, I'll talk a little bit later about why we're here this week. It's kind of an exciting thing, not overly related to clubs, but I think a lot of you will be kind of interested in it. So I'll talk a little bit about it. I'm a little technologically challenged tonight because I don't have a second monitor like I normally do. So pardon me while I flip over to my agenda that Lynn so kindly wrote for me. To help me out with what I'm supposed to talk about. It's been a bit of a crazy day. And yesterday was extra crazy traveling. We got diverted and ended up finishing the trip in a bus instead of a plane. So that was kind of fun. Okay, so I can't see all of you, but hopefully you can all still see me as I brought this up in front of me. Maybe I'll minimize it so it's not taking up the whole screen. So February special events, I want to talk a little bit about that. This is for virtual clubs. So this coming weekend is, last year we were lucky enough that Valentine's Day fell on the weekend. This year, not so much, but this Saturday and Sunday, the 12th and 13th of February is Valentine's weekend. So those are extra points and they're half red, half black, red for Valentine's Day. And there's no extra charge whatsoever to the clubs for your table fees. If you want to charge extra to your players, that is completely up to you. Obviously, we don't tell you how much to charge, but there is no extra charge for you. So hopefully that'll bump your attendance this weekend for those of you that hold weekend games. For those of you who don't, if you want to, that's okay too. So that's happening. Keep in mind during that special event in Valentine's, you cannot run GNT games. The GNT hack will never work when we have a special event that's virtual club wide happening, which brings me to my next point. The other virtual club special event that's happening this month is the Education Foundation Week. So that is a full week starting February 21st, going to February 27th. That week, again, you cannot run GNT games. Those are automatic. Every game will be that way. There is an extra charge of $1 per player, $4 a table. But you get extra points and money goes to a great cause. Now for face-to-face clubs, you of course can run Education Foundation's games anytime you like throughout the entire month of February. But for the virtual clubs, we're a little more limited. So that's why we do it that way. So those of you that are face-to-face, you can run those games anytime you like. And of course, the other special games that we've given you with the extra club championships and upgraded club championships. And speaking of GNT games not working during those 9 days of the month, the other 19 days of the month, you are still able to run GNT games till the end of February. Those are very affordable. They're only an extra $1.25 a table, and they do give double points and half red. Face-to-face clubs, you can also run GNT games. Some districts do have an extra charge on top, so please check with your local district GNT coordinator to make sure. And the last two things on my agenda, I'm going to do them in the opposite order. Going to talk a little bit about Reno. So the Reno NABC is coming. I've had a few people ask me, is it happening? We are planning on having it. I don't see that changing. Is there a chance that it might not happen? Yes, but I think if anything, the size of the event may change based upon what happens in the world over the next month. But other than that, it does begin in just over a month. So in fact, it'll be 4 weeks on Thursday that the NABC comes. So I'm not 100% positive, but I'm very, very close to 100% sure that NABC is going to take place. Hopefully we see you folks there. And the last thing I just wanted to briefly talk about why there's a few of us here from headquarters in Hilton Head. And now I can go back to seeing all you folks, which is much better for me. That's better. we've been working on a project for the last few months, and it's a departure from something we've done before. We're actually using an outside agency to do a lot of the work. Lynn's actually helped with a lot of the testing on it because she's just very helpful that way. And it's called pre-registration. So it's this tournament this week is the first time we've used it live at a tournament. We'll probably do it at a couple more between now and Reno. And then we'll evaluate where to go from there. But finally, at long last, because this is something I wanted since before I worked for the ACBL, you're going to be able to buy your tournament entries on your phone or your tablet or your laptop, and not have to line up in the lineups at the entry desks. You'll be able to sign up in advance. We're just beta testing right now, but we'll be quickly rolling out new versions of it as we go along. This isn't part of the current phase, but it will be within a matter of weeks. You'll be able to buy online, and you'll get a text message and or email telling you what table you're sitting at. So you could literally show up and not talk to any humans and just go sit down and start playing bridge. So pretty excited about it. It's something I've wanted for a long time, and it's just nice to see it kind of finally happening. So if you happen to be coming to Hilton Head this week, come and check it out. There's a few of us that are running a booth to demonstrate it to everybody. So that is all I've got. Lynn, do you have anything else that I should talk about that we left off the agenda?
I sure do not, sir.
Well, okay. Considering you made the agenda, that would be surprising if you did have something going on. Anyway, I saw a few questions in chat that I'll try and address really quickly. Someone asked about face-to-face tables. I look at them league-wide, and I look at them on a very regular basis. I can tell you that they were nicely heading in the right direction until around the beginning of December. Then things kind of went down again with Omicron becoming such a key thing, and they did start to drop. They've started to pick back up a little bit, but I think even at their peak, we were up to about 50% of last year. Now, that's a league wide. There are areas that are doing a little better than that. There are areas that are doing a lot worse than that. My old stomping grounds in Canada, for instance, Quebec and Ontario were pretty much in a full lockdown for the entire month of January. So there was very little, if any, face-to-face happening in that part of the world. So there are places that are down much closer to 100%, but it was slowly ticking up. I think players are hesitant to come back, a lot of them, but we're getting there. The knockouts here were pretty big, and so people are starting to come back, but it's going to take a little while. I can't remember if there were other questions in chat, but you can raise your hands and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So it has been a while. It was a long-standing tradition that got broken a few months back, but apparently we're restarting the tradition tonight. Aviv, you are up first. And yes, just give me a call on my cell phone number. You've got it, Aviv, tomorrow morning. That'd be great.
Hi, Greg.
Hello. I guess I'm closer to my computer than I normally am. There we go.
Yeah. So I have two questions. The first one relates to face-to-face. That reservation system that you developed, will that be available also for clubs, possibly with the option of the players not having to pay their entry?
Well, we're hoping they're going to pay somebody, but that's a great question, Aviv, and you're not the first person that's asked me that. I was talking to someone else fairly recently, and that's one of the first questions they had. That certainly wasn't our main point of design. The main point of design was for tournaments, but I could see this being something that we could roll out to the clubs at some point in time, yes.
All right, that will be great. Very helpful. The second thing is I sent an email, I think a couple of weeks back. It was during the Rainbow Week to both you and Uday. I spotted what could possibly be a major bug when you have several sections online. It seems like if you do an adjusted score, it only scores it within the section the player is playing. And a lot of match points are getting lost in that
Ye-
process?
That actually, I'm surprised it's taken you this long to notice. That's been a known, I'm gonna put quotation marks around bug since almost the beginning of the virtual club project, Aviv. It's kind of a bug, but it's not really a bug. So what they actually do, and I don't know why they designed it this way, but they did. And it works out pretty much the same, although it may affect things a tiny little bit. They take the rest of that. So like if you have a whole bunch of sections and say like a match point top would technically be a 30, right? So you get 31 tables or whatever. What they do for that board, they give you 50% of your section, but then they compute your final score with the less match points. So it really, the math works out the same. It doesn't really change your score overall. But yeah, that's been the case forever.
But when it shows up on live for clubs, it's still
Yeah.
showing it as the fewer match points.
Right, and it is the fewer match points, but the percentage is correct because they've calculated the percentage on a lower gross match points available, if you know what I'm saying.
And they don't adjust it later. It doesn't. Because the score usually is in total match points or
Right.
your total percentage.
Yeah. So like I've done the math on it before, because when we first saw this happening, we thought it was a major issue, but it works out the exact same, but it looks weird.
All right.
But yeah,
I'll take your
it's
word
fine.
for it.
I may have a document that I'll go have a look, because I think I worked something up at the time to explain it. I may have something I can send you, Aviv. I'll have a look and I'll let you know.
All right, I'll take your word for it. I'm fine with it. It's something I spotted. The players
Yeah.
didn't spot. So
Yeah,
you know.
I hear you. Excellent.
Anyway,
All right.
thank you, and
Thanks
looking
much.
forward to speaking to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And by the way, I assume it's 10 a.m. your time. So
Actually, well,
11
I'm in Hilton Head, so I'm on your time for a change.
Oh, okay,
So yeah, I was talking in your time.
okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, take care, Aviv.
Bye.
All right, we are moving on to Joe Grill. Good evening, Joe.
So one of the things that Aviv brought up about that adjusted board, one of my players noticed this a long time ago. And if I'm not mistaken, it does have a small impact. And this is what it does. So it match points only in that section. So let's suppose you've got two 11 table sections. So top on a board in each section would be a 10. So let's suppose you assign an average to a pair in one of those sections. It would give them 5 match points, but don't worry, it reduces the denominator, right?
Correct.
But here's the thing, that board therefore only carries half as much weight in the set as the other boards when determining your final score. So, yep.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know.
Because every other
fact that it's
board is worth, every other board is worth a maximum of 20, and that board, or 21, and that board is only worth a maximum of 5. It basically reduces the weight of any adjusted score of that board. It makes it count less, which may or may not be a good thing.
Yeah, it's been so long since I did the math on this. I thought I worked it out exactly the same, but you may be right. It may change things by a tiny little bit, which I know bridge players can get very
Well,
see about a tiny
Yeah.
little bit, but
anyway,
but yeah, good point. Someone actually put in chat, and I remember seeing this before, there's somewhere that explains how that works. Sharon put it in chat. So if anyone's interested, you can have a look there. It talks a little bit about how that math works out.
so anyway, what I wanted to talk about, one of the things that has been popping up at my club more frequently is psyching. Now, of course, psyching is completely legal, et cetera, et cetera. And when anyone psychs in my club, I've got a file in a database. And so if somebody is psyching a lot, I will know it, because when I look at my database, I'll see if this person has psyched. Now, one of the things that I would love to see is a national psych database where I can put in somebody's ACBL number, report that they've psyched on a particular board. I can even put the link in it. And then when I do that, I'd be able to see all the times that this particular pair has pulled this maneuver. And with the, players are able to hop around from club to club to club, it prevents them from doing that. And it seems like it'd be pretty easy to set up. But I would love to, if I've got somebody who's psyching, especially if it's one of these visitors who comes to my club maybe once a month, I would like to, they might be more willing to psych in their non-home club. And, because they might think they can get away with frequent psyching. And I don't know if it's a big problem, but I'd like to be able to have such a database where I can look at that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll think a little bit more about it, Joe. My first thought was, because I've run into this myself. In fact, I remember once, this is back fairly early in my bridge career, I was at a tournament and we were playing knockouts. So we weren't exactly playing Jeff Mextroff because I was, again, early in my bridge career. I had a really nice 14 count. I decided to open at 1 no trump. And after the hand was over, my opponents were very upset that I psyched. And, having a database is fine, but if we have people putting in entries like, this guy psyched because he opened a 14.15 to 17 no trump, it may kind of cause more issues than it's worth. I'll think about it though. It's interesting, and you're right. It's especially with the virtual club games, the boundaries aren't really there anymore, right?
Yeah. But, it would just be nice. I mean, I saw it. It was funny. Last week in one of my games, I had 2 players at 2 different tables make the exact same psych. I guess it was just too tempting for them to resist it. But 2 players made the exact same psych at 2 different tables. And, I just wonder how frequently they might be doing this, and I'd like to, be able to look them up, and that way you can kind of prevent that. And live, face-to-face clubs could use it too. Online, face-to-face tournaments, doesn't matter where they go, they wouldn't be able to hide from it. If they've got a record of psyching with this particular partner, then you would be there and you could say, nope, illegal agreement, sorry, stop it.
Yeah, it's interesting thought. I hadn't really thought about it much before, but I'll put some thought into it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the most complex thing in the world to build, that's for sure.
I mean, heck, I could probably do it. I could probably create a database myself and put it out there if I wanted to,
Yeah, well, like it sounds like you have for your club, right? So
Yeah.
exactly, it's just a little bit bigger version, that's all.
Yeah, just a bigger version. And, if we wanted to have it screened by a tournament director, the entries saying, somebody reports a psych like what you just said, and the tournament director is like, no, that's not a psych, and they pull it from the database. But when you do it with 9 points, they say, yeah, it is a psych, and then it goes.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That's interesting thought. I'll put some thought into it.
yeah. The other thing, I'm just thinking of a couple BBO issues here. I would really love to be able to give fractional minutes per board. I know that this has been brought up in the past, but I would love to give 6.5 minutes a board. It just, in my open games, it just seems like, 7 is too much, and 6 is, sometimes cutting it a little close for some of my more thinking players, or ones that like to take their time. So
Yeah, I know that's been on our list since almost the very beginning, and I know I talked to Uday about it at one point in time. I can't really remember where it went. I'll talk to him about it again, because I think that would be a nice feature for sure.
And the other little thing from BBO that's been causing a little bit of a headache is this idle time logout. I've had a couple players, they're and it's like a stealth logout. The BBO kicks them off, but it doesn't look like they've been kicked off, and they think they're online, and it's very frustrating for them, because it still, to them, for some reason, looks like they're logged onto BBO when I call them up on the phone, and I have to explain to them, no, you've been kicked off. So do you know what the idle time is set to? Like, when does BBO actually boot you off after how many minutes? Do you happen to know?
I did know,
Okay.
I think it's 5 or 10. I think it's one of the two, but I'm not sure which.
Yeah,
I'll find out for you.
I mean, I totally understand why BBO does it. They're trying to conserve their server resources, but perhaps they should consider 20 minutes. Increasing that to 20 minutes. I don't know if, I don't think it would hurt their computing resources very much. And it will prevent us from having some problems at game time. Or when they get logged off, make it obvious that they're logged off.
Yeah, like I always get that message saying it thinks you're not busy, but I think maybe on tablets or something that doesn't come up.
I think that's a tablet. I
Yeah,
think
I believe
tablet.
you're right.
Um,
And I know since the pandemic started, we've got a lot more people playing on tablets than we used to.
so anyway, those are just my suggestions for the
Yeah,
week.
okay, no, those are good points. I appreciate it, Joe.
All right.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Good to chat as always.
Yep.
We're gonna move on to Dennis Harms. Good evening, sir.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm an area rep in District 20, and I had 3 questions about sectionals. Jeff Jacobs, I should say the awesome Jeff Jacobs answered one of my questions in a private chat here, I think, which is how many times or how often do units have to run sectionals? My Salem unit ran one in 19 and they don't want to run one this year. So 23 is 4 years out. Is that okay?
Yeah, there is a normal requirement, but with the pandemic, obviously, I mean, tons of tournaments have been canceled. So we're not worrying about that right now. Once things get back to a little bit more like normal, we might discuss with the board what to do around that, Dennis. But yeah, not too worried at this time.
So they're okay not skipping this year, and they maybe could skip next year if things aren't opened up or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This year for sure. I mean, it's totally understandable.
Okay, so the second quick question is, what percentage have the sectionals been running? It was reported that Portland, Oregon here ran a sectional and they were at 50%, and that's probably pretty good from 2019.
So what percentage like have they been doing as compared to the last time they ran one?
Yeah, like 19 or whatever.
I'd say it's averaging about half. I've heard from some that were up in the 60-70% of what they were before. I've heard some that are down in the 30s and 40s, but I'd say most were up around the half mark is what I'm hearing.
And the third and last question is about reservation tools. So there was some discussion about that already. We have a sectional like the first week and in March. So I think we'll do what Portland did, which is just accept email or contact sign-up sheets at the clubs to figure out reservations.
Yeah, there's a lot of tournaments have been doing different things. I mean, this tool that we've built, we're going to test it at some regionals. It definitely won't be ready for the beginning of March, but our intent is, and I think we'll be there later this year, that all of the tournaments that are run by ACBL staff, so not IN sectionals, but everything above that, will be available for people to pre-buy online.
Okay. All right. Thanks
All
for your
right, sir.
time.
My pleasure. Anytime. We will talk to you soon. Okay, moving on to Sherry Goodman.
Hi, Greg.
Good evening.
I was going to tell you the Palo Alto or Mountain View, I'm not sure which of those clubs has a reservation system set up. I visited before the pandemic, and when you arrived at the club, they had a sign on the door, on the entrance door, that showed you exactly what seat to go to at which table. I've been trying to get a hold of them to figure out what program they're using, but I'd love to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah. We tried the video chat for our Swiss game this weekend, 36 tables. People do not like it. I think the best place for that video chat is when you have a mentoring game. I really do. I think it would be very beneficial there for what it's worth. And then I have a question that a lot of my people have been asking me, and I really don't know what to do about it. When you chat during a game, your chat box shows all of your past chats for like a week. It pops up and it takes up your whole screen. Do you know if they're
I just
fixing
noticed
that?
that, I think that changed recently because I just started noticing it the last week or so. But
Right.
I only ever get a small list. Of course, I don't chat that much, but I don't think every chat comes up. I see a few things come up that I think I've
It's
typed
like
in
a
recently.
week's worth. And if you just say hi when you go to a table, that hi gets in front of you and you can't even tell that it is sent.
Okay,
And people have really complained to me a lot about it, and I finally saw it myself.
but is it, like, mine never has more than 3 or 4 things in it. It never covers my screen.
No, mine had about 9 or 10 or 12.
Maybe you're just chattier than I am.
Oh,
I don't know. I think they never mentioned it in one of the upgrades they did, but it must be one of the recent upgrades. I can talk to them about making sure it never gets too long of a list.
okay.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Excellent.
Thank
you so
you.
much. You know,
Have
it's funny.
fun.
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. And sorry, I didn't have any stories for you tonight. It's interesting with the video chat. I remember back when we started in the tail end of March of 2020 and those first several months, that was the big request we got constantly was video chat, video chat, video chat. I have not had the opportunity to try it since they made the latest round of things, but from what I've heard from a few people that have used it a few times, it seems like they've provided a pretty reasonable way to add video chat, and now I'm hearing from a lot of people, well, I don't like it. So I don't know, maybe people just thought they wanted video chat, but they really didn't want video chat. I don't know. Anyway, all right, Kevin O'Brien, you are up next.
And I am unmuted. All right.
You are.
It was a delight to have Sherry as a guest in my club. I think it was yesterday. She came and played in a Swiss teams game and said, you guys could use the video chat. I said, what for? She said, well, when your table's finished and the next table, the teammate's table isn't done yet, you can compare scores with your opponents. The thing I don't like about the idea of a video chat is there's no record of what was said by anybody. And I could get a director call that said, well, you weren't here. So-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. And
Well, but so Kevin, think about it this way. We've had face-to-face bridge for much longer than you or I have been alive.
that's true.
And we've managed to not have a transcription of what gets talked about at the table there. So I guess, but I know what you're saying. Having that transcript is one of the advantages of online, and it kind of makes that advantage go away, right?
True. But Sherry was a delightful guest and we all enjoyed her company.
I am not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
But that wasn't what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
My club has to open sometime this year. And in its previous location, we had the site about 40 to 45 times a year, and it was used for a sectional 4 times a year. So that was why we didn't have it then. We won't have it as often now. So what I'm thinking of doing is we'll say we have a weekly game, and whenever the landlord says you can't use the site this week because of such and such, I'll say our weekly game next week or our weekly game this week will be online instead. Is that doable and appropriate?
Well, under our current rules, yes, that would be fine because we've kind of said you can run online games when you wish. That's one of the things that I think we'll need to consider if and when we talk about changing all of that. So I can't promise you it'll be that way forever. I know my thoughts about how I'd like it to be. But yeah, for the time being, definitely okay.
The next
I know
snowstorm
where
comes
we-
in, the site says we're closed. I say, okay, we're playing online today.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be better that you guys can run a game than not, right? I know my old club that I ran, when I first took it over, we did a church basement thing, and same idea. Once in a while, they had a funeral for a parish member, so we got kicked out that day, and it happened on occasion. So yeah, having online to fall back to would be great. So yes, so the answer is for the time being, absolutely yes. And long term, that's certainly something we need to take into account. Or up in Canada, you know, once in a while, a snowstorm kind of canceled our game on us as well. So
I understand. I've had privilege of playing frequently in Canada, in the Ottawa area and in Halifax, and I liked them both. I have yet to get out to Penticton, but I'm hoping one of these days.
you
And
and
the
me
other
both.
question-
I have not been there, but someday I will for sure.
You should have picked that tournament to take your reservation system to test out. Anyway, the other question I had was, I mentioned it in the chat and got a brief nibble. You announced way back at the end of October that BBO has a new feature called a temp bot. And I was wondering how I could use that effectively if I have to start a Swiss game with 6 sit-ups.
It's been so long. You're testing my memory. I seem to recall that the temp bot would only ever finish one hand, and then would
Exactly.
automatically unseat themselves at the end of a hand.
True. The idea being that BBO has some kind of glitch where I cannot replace a robot with a human because BBO says to the human, you can't do that because the robot is always busy playing. The only time I would be able to do it, I don't even know if BBO notices when the robot's dummy or not, but the only time I could slip a human in to replace a robot was in between rounds.
All right. I'll have to talk to them about what the behavior is during a Swiss. I'm not really sure off the top of my head, Kevin.
I figured as much, but I will also follow up with Sue, who asked me what I wanted to do, and we'll see whether she has any experience in that area. I don't need it today. I need it Friday, though, because that's the next Swiss game I'm running.
All right. I'll try and do some research between now and then.
And
Anything else
enjoy-
tonight, Kevin?
No, enjoy testing your system and continue to enjoy the great health of not smoking and have fun playing some bridge there in Hilton Head also.
I don't think I'm going to get any playing in, but we'll see what happens. All right. Thank you very much, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Moving on to Ellis. Good evening, Ellis.
Hang on. Hey, good evening. How are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I want to ask you a question. Conditions of contest. ACBL conditions of contest say 30 minutes after the event is over and 24 hours for direct errors or whatever. That's what the ACBL conditions of contest say for pair games. Did anyone anywhere ever discuss changing this? That the correction period starts 30 minutes after it's posted on live.
I do not know the answer to that question off the top of my head. But I can find an answer for you if you like.
I would like if someone did that for me, because we had something recently in one of our tournaments and that does not appear on the conditions of contest anywhere. The correction period restarts after it's get posted online.
Okay, I will dig into it and let you know.
Okay. Anything else that I have to say? Oh, I've got a ton to say, but I'm a little the other thing which you might know about was, whilst we're on the, I put something about this on Bridge Winners, but GNT that we're all talking about. So not not everyone knows, but not all the districts have club qualification or unit qualification as a necessity.
That's correct.
There's only about 6 or 7 districts that actually have it as a necessity. So in my district, which has conditions of contest, which says these cannot be changed, it says specifically that these conditions, yeah. Apparently the ACBL gave them permission to change them. You know anything about that?
Not off the top of my head. I may have heard something. I don't know. I know we have to approve every district's conditions of contest, which is a fairly large job every year. But
I gave up a long time really worrying about what my district do. Yeah, but it seems strange that we have regulations and conditions of contest for various things, and they can just be ignored.
yeah, well, we definitely try not to ignore them, but I don't know what else to tell you about that. I'll have to dig into both those things for you, Alice. I don't have the answers off the top of my head.
Okay, apart from that, you doing good?
Doing well.
Okay,
well.
so no doubt I'll
Happy to
see
be
you.
back
No
at a bridge
doubt I'll-
tournament.
Oh, Archie, one other question. Yeah. Regarding GNT. You haven't, no one really has given me a definitive answer about whether if you qualify in a club that if you're from a distant district, if you've actually qualified. My question is, if you have a pool where you would have players from various districts, and some of those do exist, would that automatically go into qualifying for the other district, or is that only where the headline club is?
It's going to be like everything else that happens in a pooled virtual club. It's as if it was a game held at the club that's actually running the game.
Okay, so if someone asked me to run a GNT qualifier for District 17, the easiest way will be to use the District 17 VACB number.
You would want one of the District 17 VACB numbers to be the one running the game, yeah. And
You
then-
know, I'm sure I
and
can
it's in
find
District
one of those
17.
somewhere. Lots of people aren't using them. Okay, well, that
Yeah.
was solve the problem. Okay, thanks, Greg.
Excellent, thanks, Alice, good to chat. All right, moving on to John Nichols. Good evening,
Okay.
sir.
Good evening. Comment on, switching from face-to-face to online. Well, that saved us a couple days here in Indiana, and I bet it saved people even more in the places east of us. We were able to get emails out to our email list, posted on our website saying Thursday and Friday are online. And we had as good of attendance as we have been having face-to-face. So that was a good thing. And I'm thinking long-term that it seems like we're always closed a day or two every winter because of the weather. The other thing is a temp bot on robots. A temp bot, I think, has to replace a person. Okay. I think that's the whole purpose of it, is somebody has disappeared temporarily and you put a temp bot in, and I've had good luck with that all along.
So you're saying you don't think when the game starts and you've got a half table, you can't put temp bots in there?
I don't think so, but if you put robots in, I've always been able to, I put the robots in, and then I'm looking to get the game going, and I'm looking for subs, and I can put subs in over those robots with no problem.
Right, interesting.
So
Yeah, it's you were talking about the emailing thing. But back in Canada, obviously we would have the odd time, and we actually had a email list, but we had quite a few members that weren't into an email, so we also had a phone list of we phone people to let them know the game was canceled. So it'd be great in this, now that we've got this ability, right, that instead of the phone call and or the email being the game is canceled, the phone call and or the email is the game's going to be online today.
going to be online, and
Yeah.
we're looking at being able to add to we've got like 3 email lists that different people take care of, and we're looking at investigating being able to send out from a major list, send out text messages to people's phones.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, excellent. All right, anything else tonight, John?
No, that'll do it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. Good to chat.
Thank-
Moving on to Sally Ann. Hello.
Hi, Greg and everybody else. So my specialty as a teacher and a director is beginner and intermediate games. And pre-pandemic, I was running lots of 0 to 20s under open games and having, good response to that. And then during the pandemic, early on, we were running 0 to 20s again underneath the regular games. And we allowed robots to be your partner. You could register with the robot. And so we could run a game with as few as like 5 people signing up to play, because every one of them would play with a robot. And then we would have we'd have 5 entries and you could run a game. Our 0 to 20 games have gone away for 2 reasons. One is that a lot of those people, by playing a lot on BBO, have earned points and they're higher than 20 now. So I guess that's a good thing. But my newer students who come in, they're intimidated about playing bridge at all. They're intimidated about playing online. But because the BBO robots play a very complicated 2-over-1 system. I mean, they don't even play a simple 2-over-1. They play pretty complicated 2-over-1 system. They just can't handle it. So for lessons, when I want them to play with robots, I do it on Shark, because Shark, I can pick the kind of robots that people are going to play with. And I just can't believe that BBO doesn't have enough programmers there that they couldn't have just a very basic standard American yellow card robot available, because that's where we would get beginners playing in Master Point games. Because you don't need very many of them, right? If every one of them is playing with robot, and they learn a lot, they learn playing with robots in terms of all kinds of things. It's better than their partners who have no clue what they're doing half the time, but not when the robots are playing a 2-over-1 system they don't understand.
Yeah.
So I would like ACBL to use whatever influence it has over BBO to get us robots that we can choose. I mean, I know you're familiar with Shark. I mean, in Shark, not only can you choose 2-over-1, I mean, you're yet to be able to choose precision or something, but that's okay. But not only can you choose 2-over-1 versus standard in Shark, you can choose aggressive versus not aggressive, which, like if the Shark guys can do it, BBO ought to be able to do it too. So
Yeah, I hear you.
help me out with that if you can, if we're going to
I
still.
will
fine.
try on that one. It's interesting. We had a discussion about that very topic quite recently, actually. So I appreciate that. And thank you for all
Okay.
the work you do with the beginners and intermediates. I appreciate it.
You guys will be amazed. Before I sign off, I'm getting ready to start a new class, and it's all people in their 40s, a live class. So it's pretty amazing to me that I'm still getting students at all. It's a much smaller class than my other classes, but I have to do it at night because they all work. Can't do it in the day. So
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's great. Thanks, Eliane. Much appreciated. And Sherry, I think after she got off, there's something came up she wanted to say. So here we are. Sherry's back as soon as she unmutes herself.
Oh, yeah. On the temp box, I use them at the very beginning of the game with no problem.
Oh,
when
okay, so it does work.
have a
So do they
half
just play a board and then they stand up again?
And then, and then I can put the sub in
Okay,
and they go in right after that hand.
okay. Excellent.
We reopened after being closed the month of January because of a COVID outbreak. We reopened with no mask requirement, and our numbers were down lower than November,
With the masks. They're worse.
with no mask.
Right, with
I
no
was
mask.
not happy about the no mask, but
It-
it was decided.
Of
And
course, yeah, well, that's one of the things that I think when it,
so
with-
it's
with
not
that-
keeping people away, the
Yeah.
mask. Maybe it was the weather. I hope that was it, but I don't know. But what I really would love for you to talk about is the Royal Stacks and how many are allowed during a year in each district and all of that.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about that last time. I'll talk really briefly about it. So the motion that the board passed, I guess it was at the Reno Board of, or pardon me, the Austin Board of Directors meetings, every district's allowed to participate in one. So the first one that happened, there's 3 districts ran it. So those 3 districts have had their shot. They won't be able to participate in another one. And currently, the way the motion was written, districts have till the end of April to participate in one. I'm saying participate rather than run, because quite often what happens is district whatever is running a stack, and they ask the neighboring districts or 2, would you like to participate in our stack with us to make the stack bigger? So the first one was very, very successful. I talked about some of the numbers, and we also examined the face-to-face. Oh, pardon me, that's 2 different things. Or maybe I didn't talk about it in the last call. I'm thinking of the Silver Linings Week. So
Yeah.
the 3 districts that ran that Royal Stack at the last week of January, I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me. I can probably bring it up. I think they were up 77% over the previous week. Pardon me, 71%. There it is. I like to be exact. Yeah, so that week as compared to the previous week, table counts in those 3 districts were up 71% over the week before. So I think that would definitely be considered a very successful event. So, but yeah, as it stands right now, every district's allowed to run one between now and the end of April.
So if our district isn't running one, we should join in with the one that invited us, right?
That would be my recommendation for sure.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
folks, that brings us to the end of our hands, and I'm not unhappy about that because it's almost 8 o'clock tonight and I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm a little hungry, and I get grumpy when I'm hungry. So we will see you folks again on February 24th, Lynn. If I remember correctly, yeah, excellent.
Mhm.
So same time, same place, except I won't be in the same place in 2.5 weeks. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night. I'll leave this open for a minute or 2.
Jamie, if you're still here, could you put your email address in chat, please, Jamie? Okay, guys, anybody that needs to save the chat, please do it. We're going to shut it down. Have a great night.